I put a spell on you, and now you're mine. At least for the next few minutes while we talk about Hocus Pocus. Something that, whilst I've been trying to do it for the last few years, including the Buffy and Angel year, so I lost 2 slots in October, which explains that delay, it's kind of worked out well because we maybe need something a bit lighter, very Disney, very fun, nothing too heavy on the day before Halloween itself. Whilst we've had stuff leading up to, and next week it's completely polar opposite, let's have an oasis of fun right now because it's still awful. But this was directed by Kenny Ortega and written by David Kirshner and Mick Garris, did the story at least. Mick Garris pulled double duty and wrote the screenplay with Neil Cuthbert. If you're confused by that, so was I when I read it. This stars, of course, the amazing, the divine Bette Midler. Kathy Najimy, I want to say, I'm probably saying that wrong and I do apologise. Please correct me if you do know. Sarah Jessica Parker, Omri Katz, and Thora Birch, who's absolutely adorable in this, like most of her younger works. But yeah, 10-year-old me loved this, and 37-year-old me loved this, because we need this right now. There's so much fun here that it's got its flaws, yes, but you can look past it, you can enjoy it. The overdubbing of Thackeray Binks by Jason Marsden does have moments where you're just like, it doesn't feel right coming out of this kid's mouth. The animatronics not amazing, and it's no surprise that this was also then used for Sabrina the Teenage Witch series, so Salem is Binks, in case you didn't know that. The CGI is not too bad for the time. I'll give it a bit of a pass. It's not awful. There's a few scenes that you do kind of have to take a bit of a horrified look at, but it's not too bad. And I did learn that they actually had a live cat doing most of it, and then they just CG'd the face, so there was less work to do, so it looked less terrible. Total respect for that. But this is one of those films that just has these interesting tidbits. There's, of course, the friends found too much I'm not going to dwell on, because everyone knows that by now. I'm not here to rehash old facts that you might already know. But there's a few very interesting facts I do want to cover off, actually, before we go too much further into it. Kathy Najimy, I'm committing to that apparently, didn't originally want to take the role. She was very reluctant because she didn't want to offend real-life Wiccans and other witch practitioners in the world now by doing this kind of stereotypical role. I think the fact that it's such a caricature and sort of cartoony version might have softened the blow, but I mean, I've always respected this woman for since I first saw her. She's great, she's got great comedy timing, she just has a charisma that you're just gripped by her when she's on screen. She's adorable, and, like I say, everything she's in I've enjoyed. Bette Midler says this is one of, if not the favourite thing she's ever done. And considering this is just a silly throwaway Halloween Disney piece, and she's done some real heavy material, and she's done a lot of singing, this is her favourite film work that she's done, and I respect that. This clearly shows how much fun people were having. Sarah Jessica Parker found the harnesses for the broom riding that comfortable that instead of being lowered to the ground when shooting was, paused between scenes, or they had to reset a scene or whatever, she'd just have a copy of the New York Times stashed somewhere and just read that hanging above everyone else, and that's just adorable. Also, she actually found out a few years down the line, she was on Who Do You Think You Are, and she learned that she was actually related to Esther Elwell, who was accused of witchcraft in Salem, and was the last person accused of witchcraft before she escaped with her life and at least the Salem witch trials ended. Which is pretty weird that she chose this role. And whilst we're on the subject of Sarah Jessica Parker, I'm not going to make any horse-face jokes or anything like that, but here she is, I think, the most attractive. Let me just say that 10, 11-year-old me was very happy with this film. And still to this day, she looks good. She looks better than she's looked anywhere else. Now, okay, my sensibilities of what I find attractive, Carrie Bradshaw is not the kind of person I go for. Sarah is. Sarah the Witch here. Apart from the airheadedness, that kind of is a bit of a turn-off. But still, like I say, I think she looks the best here. I did mention before this was put off by Buffy, and I keep forgetting that Larry Bagby III plays Ernie, or Ice, in this, and he looks so much younger, even though it was only like a 4 or 5 year gap between this and Buffy. He looks so young in this, and it's really jarring. But this was, like I say, just a lot of fun. Henri Katz is great in this role. I'd say almost typecast between this and Erie, Indiana. I always associate him with spooks and things like that. He's just a delight in this. He's very charismatic as Max. And, everyone in this film is clearly enjoying themselves. And that comes across. If you're in a film that's light-hearted and fun and just meant to be some popcorn, sort of fueled hour and a half of your life, have fun with it. Embrace the weird. I mean, this was pitched for, I think, over a decade. It was, I think, originally pitched at Spielberg, if I recall correctly. But it was pitched since the 80s. And it's a shame it took so long to get made, but I think it worked getting made when it did because they had the cast that they had available at that time, if that makes sense. A different cast and a different crew even might have really given it a different energy. Everything came together in this. And like I say, it's got its flaws. But I really enjoyed it. And if you've gotten to this part of your life and not seen it yet, why? It's just a complete blast. It's absolutely wonderful. There's so many light-hearted moments. The fact that Sarah the Witch, it's so confusing having the actress and the character have the same name. If I say Sarah, I mean the witch. If I say SJP, I mean the actor. Okay. But Sarah is, the dumb one. That amok moment is brilliant. I love it. But when they're trying to remember the potion, she's the one who remembers what the ingredient is. I like the fact they put that in. The airheaded dumb one gets it right, but they're that used to her being stupid and wrong that they just slap it down. The moments like that just make this film for me. But I do think the end of the film is weird. Every time I watch it, whenever Binks is saying, "I'll always be with you," to Thora Birch, I always have this, or to Danny, not to Thora Birch, I always have this moment that someone seems to be cutting onions nearby. I don't know what's happening there. But I think you'd be pretty heartless not to think that people are cutting onions too. And I like the fact that it has that. It's so saccharine sweet. It's so adorable. And yet it still gets me. There are films that I've talked about on this channel that have touched me deeply emotionally and, sort of been amazingly well-crafted and, intricate works that are not throwaway and fun at all. And they get me weeping. And then you have this, which also does the same. But I love this, and a big shout out, of course, to Doug Jones in one of his early roles as well. You actually get to see his face a little more than a lot of his other roles, even though it's still heavily made up. But apparently those moths that come out of his mouth were real, and yes, I believe that. Based on how the other CG looks in the film, those were real moths, and poor Moss, but also poor Doug. But seriously, put it on tomorrow. Have a great Halloween. Obviously, most places you probably can't go trick-or-treating, so do something for your kids that, sort of stimulates that. If you just have, different rooms and have got maybe an Easter egg hunt combined with trick-or-treating or something. I don't know. Your parents, you'll figure it out. But obviously, if you don't have kids, just chill out. Don't do anything really stupid. Don't break any sort of, lockdown or restrictions, of course, wherever you live either. Have fun. Be safe. And until next time, as always, thank you for watching and take care.